Yes, yes, Sir Hairless here. Today we have a monthly members poll winner. This is Wayfaring Stranger by Adam Chance, and featuring some new artists to the channel, The Hound and the Fox. If you'd like to vote on these monthly members polls, I do one every month. You can do so by being a member on my Patreon, even just a free member. Everyone gets a vote on this poll. The song itself, also known as Poor Wayfaring Stranger, I think it has a couple of other names as well. I didn't know it, but Google tells me it's an American gospel or folk song thought to originate about 200 years ago. There are many different versions out there. I went onto Spotify and I listened to a handful of them, so I'll just show you some examples. I have to keep these clips very short because otherwise they'll be copyright detected. Johnny Cash.
I'm just a poor wayfaring stranger.
Joss Slovic. This is an a cappella version that was used in the war film 1917. I have seen that film, but I don't remember the song, maybe because I didn't know it at the time.
I am a poor wayfaring stranger.
Eva Cassidy. I mean, that's three pretty big stylistic differences so far, isn't it? And here's another one, Emmylou Harris.
I am a poor wayfarer.
So all quite different from each other, which I think is great to see. So I wonder how different this one will be. Similarly to how I did with Peter Hollins and Avi Kaplan's cover of Black is the Colour of My True Love's Hair. I think I'm just going to take this performance for what it is. I won't have any one of these existing versions as a benchmark for stylistic comparisons or whatnot. Although I could imagine that maybe Chance was inspired by Johnny Cash's version based on their voices. The other featured guests, the Fox and the Hound. I have seen them before in a home free video, but I only saw them in that. We didn't hear them.
We found love right where we are.
And they have been recommended to me since then a number of times. So without further ado, let's get straight into it.
Poor wayfaring stranger, traveling through this world below. There's no sickness, toil, or danger in that bright land to which I go. I'm going there to see my father. I'm going there no more. I'm just going over Jordan. I'm just going
Well, there we go. The gentleman from Hound of the Fox. The Hound, I guess. Oh, he could be the Fox. He's come in. It sounds like we have a beat come in. I'm going to do our pause here. I like this a lot so far, actually. It's one of those that just, there's nothing overcomplicated about it. It's, well, it's simple, but it's nice. It just encapsulates you. Well, me anyway. Hopefully if you're watching this, you feel the same way. So we'll go back over it. If you don't want to hear my thoughts or analysis, go to the timestamp. In terms of key, the various different versions are all in different keys. Harmonically with this as well, they've not really changed anything in the sense of chords relations to each other. The introduction, the first verse, etc., it's pretty much just two chords back and forth the whole time, and they've kept this, keeping things simple. Because of the harmonic simplicity, you'd think there may be some rhythmic complexity to kind of counter it. Not necessary by any means, and it depends on the type of song. A song like this, I think calm, simple is better. It's weird to say, I think they've done both. So what do we have? We have two guitars. One plucking, one strumming. And that's all you need. We have no percussion yet, it sounds like. I saw the Fox as well holding a tambourine, so I imagine that will come in at some point. But plucking guitars is rhythmic for obvious reasons. Drumming as well. Every strumming pattern is in its own way, like a little rhythmic sequence. And when you combine the two, you can get lovely cross rhythms that are just so subtle without the I've been thinking of a word for about 10 seconds and I can't think of one, but without the of a drum set, for example. So overall, things are just very cool, very mellow, and even though there's not much happening in terms of harmony, in terms of instrumentation, in terms of texture, it's gripping. It's a gripping performance. Adam's voice, Chance's voice, I think plays a massive part as well, and the key they've chosen is so he can come in right down here. That's a bottom C sharp, just for context, up here. That is the lowest note your lowest choral bass is expected to sing. So this is kind of lower than low. And the aesthetic as well. I think it's very cool how they're, I don't even know what you'd call this, just standing, playing at one with nature. It's the simple things in life, huh?
I am a poor wayfaring stranger.
It's not often where I hear a song with a soloist who's singing so deep, so low down, with such a rich timbre. If you're watching this, you may well have watched some of my home free videos where Adam Chance features. In those videos and my other a cappella videos, I always say that when you have a sound or a group of voices that are all lower down, they're much harder to pick apart and hear individually than sounds or instruments or voices that are higher up. It's because the frequencies are slower. So his voice and the tone, it creates this kind of, sometimes I just can't think of words to describe things, but textures. And in my head, it's just a kind of wish-wash over everything. This is enhanced later on when we have all these other layers coming in the background that aren't easily identifiable.
I'm going there to see my father.
The ones at the forefront there are easily identifiable. It's the Hound and the Fox coming in harmony. Her higher up, him using a nice airy head voice actually. And there was another voice that sounded like it was way up there. And then their two parts. Him, her, a third above. But behind them and Chance and the guitars, there are these, I'll use that word again, kind of wishy-washy sounds like echoes, or I don't know, maybe I'm inspired by nature, but the thought of spirits or something is coming to mind. Don't want to get too spiritual here, but you know, maybe all of the wayfaring strangers and their presence or their ghosts or whatnot. But it's definitely a sound that, at least to me, is quite introspective. It makes me really think about what I'm hearing. I like it. And it creates an atmosphere, a good atmosphere for this type of music. On the repeat of the oohs and the backing vocals, now the harmony starts to get a tiny bit more complex. The parts are a bit more fluid, they move, and in turn just create these very subtle dissonances. With her, the fox, moving down stepwise, him, the hound, moving up stepwise, and then down with a quite unexpected jump interval. I've just gone onto their website, The Hound and the Fox, and it says Riley and Mackenzie. I wasn't satisfied. I kept Googling, and I'm having a real tough time here finding out who's Riley and Mackenzie. Anytime I Google one of them, I found out their surname, Zamba. Photos of just both of them come up. Okay, so I think Riley is the husband and Mackenzie is the wife. However, I'm scared that's incorrect, and I don't want to be referencing them incorrectly the whole video. I might be doing that with Hound and Fox, but I'm going to call him the Hound and her the Fox. Big apologies if that's the wrong way around. And then just before we carry on, Chance here, he does this really nice subtle octave jump and then back up. Really barely noticeable. How cool is that? Yeah, I'm liking this so far. Let's carry on with the beat coming in now and the Hound starting to take his solo line.
I know dark clouds will gather around me. I know my way is rough and steep, but golden fields arise before me. The stars, the vigils keep. I'm going home to see my mother. She said she'd meet me when I come. So I'm just going over Jordan. Just see.
Okay, next verse, we're about 2/3 of the way, so we'll do a second pause here and just a few points on that middle section. I'm just loving the array of sounds that we're getting in the background, again, that I would not be able to identify, but to me, they seem natural sounding, such as here, just right where we paused. What is that? A whistle, a train whistle, a howl of a wolf? It's in key though, which I think is extremely intentional. And let me try find an earlier different sound. I can't remember if I was wanting to mention if it was in key or not in key. I'll be right back. So I'll play a passage and it's kind of a mix of both. And the reason is we have a lot of reverb applied. So their vocal lines sustain through and then they create dissonance as the harmony changes. We get new lines coming through whilst the echoes of the previous lines are still sounding. We also have sounds in the background coming through, and the effect overall, it's weirdly eerie whilst also being weirdly comforting.
The vigils keep. I'm going home to see my mother.
If I were to kind of notate every single note that I can hear, it would just look like a mass of notes. Like someone is just playing chords on top of chords on top of chords in different keys. But because they're of varying powers and volumes, some of them stand out much more than the others. And it's kind of like a cycle where dissonance comes in and then dissipates as new one comes in and dissipates. It reminds me of several other artists that I don't know too well, but I have them on my calm playlists, such as Bon Iver. The Hound has a very nice, soft, quite inoffensive voice. A voice that I know it would be very nice to sing and harmonize with. And when Chance does here,
But golden fields arise before me.
I like the slight melodic adjustments. And these little melodic adjustments, they're essentially endless as to what you can do even with just two people, kind of limited to two chords. If we just listen to what Chance does here when he is providing the harmony and not the focal melody, we can see all the changes, and he's almost quite limited in terms of his range as well, much lower down. The other thing that I'm noticing a lot is now the bass.
Arise before me.
And because of what I was talking earlier about all the layers that we're hearing and the wish-washy nature of the sound, it is inherently therefore difficult to really be able to pick apart the instruments and the sounds easily. So the bass part that we're now hearing, to me at first it sounded a bit like a timpani. Also a bit like a bass guitar with a bass drum, maybe accentuating the beats. So I like this. It's the idea I spoke about at the start of the guitars providing the percussive elements, and right now it's the same case with the lower down instruments too. The Hound and the Fox had a nice little duet.
To see my mother.
And what I like with this setup is, you know, to think about it simply, Chance low, the Hound middle, her higher. You can have all these different combinations, moving up, moving down, person one singing with person three with two, etc. So where we paused and where we're going to carry on now until the end, it looked like Chance is now singing with her, but Chance is now moved up. So I'll be curious to see if they end up singing in 3-part harmony, if the Hound maybe moves down. Overall, seemingly simple and limited, but in reality, there's just so much that they can do here. And I really like that about this.
I wanna sing and tell my story. A song I hear deep in my soul, in concert with all those before me. Before I leave this earthly home, I'm going there to see the others that pass before me, one by one.
I'm just going over Jordan. I'm just going over home. I'm just going over home.
Very interesting ending there for obvious reasons. The song ends, but then this ethereal, eerie, I don't know what the word is, type sound comes through. They're now facing the other way. And here, the sound of silence, I will definitely need to be watching that. It looks like they are facing the other way, like the camera's done from the other side. So I would assume that they now go straight into the sound of silence. That will be answered another day, I'm sure. If you want to see me do the sound of silence as well, then please comment down below. Help the algorithm out. Yeah, I really liked that. I really liked it. Just quite folky, just nice. Chance moved up from where we carried on, but then the transition to the Hound taking back over was so seamless.
I wanna sing and tell my story.
And there's another example of Chance just making slight melodic harmonic adjustments, but it does change the overall sound.
In concert with all those before me.
Seamless transition to the Hound and him doing the same thing. What else has changed now? He had the finger plucking guitar, and now we can see him emphasizing the strumming a bit more, so a bit more of an aggressive sound or a loud sound, however you want to think of it. The tambourine does come in, but she plays them quite infrequently, which at the time I was surprised about, but looking back on it, I don't think it is that surprising. I don't think it should be an instrument that's played too frequently or aggressively, especially with a song like this. And then this, the kind of different bit, the standout moment, the climactic moment. Chance joins in. I'm thinking, okay, we're going to get some nice 3-part harmony, but no, the flow is suddenly stopped and it's a surprise.
I'm going there to see the others.
Into this major resolution. Well, not really a resolution, but suddenly the sound all comes back. Bright, positive, happy chord. And then towards the end, when all three of them were singing, they were using this, having 3 voices to really drive home sustained dissonances as well. There are suspensions which you would expect to resolve, but they just hold them on.
I'm just gold.
So there, for example, we have Chance, the Hound, the Fox. As you can see, suspended fourth. You'd think that this suspended note would then resolve down, but they don't. They hold that on all the way into the next chord with a nice slide into it as well, actually. And that final chord, many notes in there, but to just quickly kind of pan them out on the piano. And I'll do them all in the same octave so we can see how close they are. Nice song that, wasn't it? I think there are a lot of really nice musical decisions in all regards, really. Sticking to the bog standard simple harmony. Simple was not bad, by the way. You don't always need to be complex and change things. But what I really liked was the ever so gradual growth throughout, leading to that moment of separation where everything kind of dropped out. It had been such a smooth flowing process the whole time, and then yeah, just a bit of a bigger ending. Overall, a fairly limited structure in many regards, but they did so many little changes that resulted in a performance that didn't seem like it was repeating at all, really, and kept me really engaged. Yeah, really nice, that one. Well, I think let's leave that one there. Thank you to everyone who voted on this monthly members poll. Remember, if you want to take part in those monthly polls, you can do so by joining my Patreon just as a free member. And if you want to take part in the weekly polls, you can do that by becoming an egg yolk. Comment down below if you want me to do the sound of silence. That one definitely looks intriguing. And otherwise, thank you very much for watching. Would appreciate a like and subscribe. If you'd like access to additional exclusive content, you can do so by joining the Patreon linked on the screen now. And I will see you next time.